Okay, awesome. Yeah,
Two times in a row, it just worked perfect.
something like that, that's it. That's your intuitive understanding. Like, all I needed to say was mass marine, and you were already like, okay, well, how can I stop them coming and getting me with a few tanks? Like, okay, yeah, like, put some pressure on early, force an
Hmm.
over response. Classic omamorkie. So, do you want to load up a replay? Should we get a practice
Yes.
partner? How should we get about it?
No, let's just hop in
Oh,
replays.
I didn't make you the leader yet. There we go. Sorry, I thought I'd
So
already done that.
that one, watch wizards. Here we are. So that's one where I think it should be a legit opening, and up to the first EMP hitting, and I just have no idea how to get out of it again. But I have to make put you on top or something, right? So no.
In the game, you just need to right
So you
click.
get control of the
Yeah. So in the actual
neutral?
lobby, not the part. So just in the lobby, if you right click on my name in there.
Okay, so I promote
Yeah.
to lobby host. Here we go.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you play with the English client?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder how many people play with like German as opposed to English.
I don't know. I mean, I had to force it to become English. It would, it would default would be German. So if you don't actively change it, you end up with a German one.
That makes sense. It's not like the old days where you were forced to learn,
Yeah.
a little bit of English every time you played an American produced game. Trying to remember actually when they started kind of putting in translations and different audio tracks as standard.
I mean, there was even a German game industry back in the day, but even they produced in English because it was just a bigger audience. So I think I start running a little too early with these two SCVs for the barracks, but it's about okay.
Okay, so well, depends where we want to proxy them. So I mean, I think we want to send one out earlier and one later.
And
right?
yeah, so what I usually do is I
Oh.
build one barrack at home, just so they
Oh,
do
so it's
not.
a 3 barracks, not a 2 barracks.
Yeah, but it's probably inefficient. So I want them to expand, right? If they don't expand, I don't really get anywhere with it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they just don't. Yeah.
And you build
Don't
nothing
bump
at
them.
home? Okay, not even a marine. We should probably get a marine just to kill a
A
probe,
marine,
right?
right?
And keep them out of
Yeah.
our natural, just to keep them guessing. We'd keep it out front our natural. So we would
Ah,
kind
the
of
marine
go,
up front. Yes, that's
bam,
okay.
check the
That's
back of the
interesting.
natural, because that's a common
Yeah.
hiding spot, and then stand at the front. So obviously at this point when the adept comes, that marine's going to die anyway, or if we're super smart, we can already have it back on the high ground by 3 minutes.
Yeah. No. But
But
yeah. So
yeah.
now the marauders start walking, right? First 3 is usually when I go out.
Yeah, if we can have a few more SCVs with it, obviously that's nice for like building bunkers and stuff. But since you're doing more
And
of a
the
bit of a
Ghost Academy is already finished at this point.
yeah.
And the first ghost is building now, I think. Yeah. So
What's interesting here is with this first bunker placement, right? I feel like unless they're already like pulling probes and they've got like a ton of shit on the low ground and stuff, I would always try to put that bunker right up against the ramp. And this is
okay.
dangerous because obviously it can just get killed from the high ground. But for me, the idea is I kind of want to do more than just kill the Nexus. That's what I'm thinking anyway. So we might change this, because maybe just denying this and then slowly waiting for the ghost and then pushing up the ramp is actually totally fine for you. But I like the idea of having like a really aggressive bunker just kind of tucked up against that, next to that
Like
mineral.
here, yeah.
And then you can kind of like, it might tank some shots, you can push up and stuff, and that can be pretty
Might even
awesome.
have stuff in range as soon as you have vision. Right?
Yeah. And what do you think of getting 2 more SCVs across the map somehow? I guess it's hard to get them over here. But yeah.
This guy, there's still one back here, right? And that one can either make a corner expansion or just come over and build more bunkers.
It'd get here a little late for the initial push, I think, but yeah, it could be pretty cool.
Yeah, and here it's just when they get the robo, it's hard, but I think it's still doable actually.
Yeah.
And so when they build stalkers and shield batteries, the ideal is to EMP the shield battery. That's always my favorite. When they have 2 shield batteries and an EMP lands on them and they just gone. But here I'm just waiting too long, I think, with the Immortals production. That's just...
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the point where I didn't know what to do. Like where I realized, okay, I have to somehow expand. I built a command center behind it, and I somehow need to transition into something that holds this army off.
Okay.
That's
so we're
game.
gonna drop some knowledge on you.
Yeah.
The ghosts in this current form serve no function. Because they're not going to get you into that main base any better. Because the delay on them joining the Marauders is enough that your opponent's going to get enough defense. Unless they make 5 sentries and stand them next to 2 shield batteries. And we get like the maximum EMP effect. However, if you can consistently get a contain up, we could build 2 more bunkers here and start nuking their main base.
Yeah.
And we could have a floating barracks for the high ground, so we don't even need to use scans for it. And this still utilizes something which I know you would get excited for because you like doing ridiculous shit. And it's actually going to be effective because you're going to start depowering gateways and killing pylons and freaking
So
them
bring
out.
more SCVs is the most important part here. Right?
And we're going to need to get a faster factory because you need that to start the nuke. So it's going to be not so much about building a whole bunch of ghosts. We only really need 1 or 2 ghosts. Like it's more just get the bunker container and then and then go for that. So okay, so at least 1 extra SCV. So basically, okay,
Bunker up front,
new
extra
goals.
SCV.
Yeah, bring an extra SCV out at 2:30. Dodge the Adept or Stalker coming across map, right? And join your proxy.
I mean, I could also just, build the Ghost Academy at home, and then I mean, it's just fancy shit that it's in the corner.
Oh yeah, let's do that as well.
And okay. I have 2 SCVs. So.
Build Ghost Academy at home. I kind of like having a 3rd SCV anyway. I mean, you can obviously just see how this works. So let's. That's just an option. If you find your 2 SCVs always end up getting at least 1 or 2 bunkers up anyway, maybe you're just fine with that and it works. But otherwise, we can sneak out. That could be. I'm saying an extra SCV. That could be 3 extra.
Still need to repair it, right?
Yeah. Like sometimes you get someone who's just like focuses down the SCVs really quick, and you're like, God damn, because it takes you another minute to get across. So build the Ghost Academy at home. I think that's a really good idea. So we want to get a factory down. I would say
after the first ghost, right?
Before the Ghost Academy finishes, because if you think about it, how long does a nuke take to build? 43 seconds.
I'm not sure how the gas count works out for that, because I'm constantly building Marauders, right?
Yeah, well, because you've got a second gas, I think you should be fine. Like in this game, you're building so many ghosts, right? So like I said, we can skip the second ghost and just make that a Marauder. Yeah. So if we can just go a single nuke ghost or 2 ghosts rather than the extra one. So if we look at it here.
Yeah, I totally have gas for a factory, yes.
You aren't producing Marauders out of one of these barracks, actually. So let's go back a little bit. Check your gas timings. So, we're going...
Maybe gas only.
So your first gas was about 7 seconds late because you were thinking about walling off. And then you pull 3 SCVs because you're like, get out of here! And
I lost 1.
And you lost 1 as well. Okay. And then that second gas is really late, and we didn't put on the gas very quickly as well. Yeah. So I would say, look, if that probe gets in, I honestly don't think we need to be very worried.
Okay.
Because usually you can kill it if it comes around your mineral line too much. You can just leave 1 SCV chasing it, pull another SCV to get in front of it, so they kind of both get a few drill hits. It'll die quickly enough. Because I feel like you walling them out is just as obvious. Now, I say that, and I've coached so many people who see a wall off and go, well, I don't know what he's possibly doing, so I'm going to build 4 bases. And I'm like, really? You don't, like, if the Terran's wall, like, isn't it obvious? Like, if the Terran's like, I'm changing my whole build order to stop you seeing what I'm doing. I'm like, isn't it always, like, cheese? Almost always? So I guess, sometimes people will interpret it wrong, but I feel like if you let that probe in, as long as it doesn't hang around too long, it'll be fine. And a lot of the time, the probe won't get there that early. That was a very early probe. So if it's even a little bit later than that, you'll often still wall it out. So that second gas should probably be down at like 18 supply, I would imagine, right? To make sure. So it's like barracks, gas. Oh, not 18, because we want to go the 2 barracks first, so the second barracks will go down.
Just after the second barracks, basically, right?
So weird build, because you're doing a bit of trickery here. Yeah, I guess after the second proxy barracks, it has to go down immediately, right?
But do you think the whole thing having one barrack at home makes any sense, or should I just go full on cheese with it?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely can do that. You can even build a Reaper off it and stuff. Like, I've definitely done a lot of builds where I would like proxy the first barracks with like a Reaper, and then I would, you know, build a tech lab on it and build Marauders after that, and build a factory. Like, there's so many different ways we can do it. Your second gas is really late here because you're going 3 barracks. I mean, this is always going to be an expensive, awkward, and delayed timing that really relies on trickery. So I don't think we can make it too super streamlined. I think it's just, yeah, I guess if we just make sure that first gas is mining with 3 workers from the start, and then from the second, yeah.
I mean, I built that super early second supply depot, right? Don't you normally get gas before second supply depot? Second gas, I mean.
Yeah, but you're building 3 barracks, so for you, it's going to be a little different. Where, you know, that's if you're doing a proper 1-base 1-1-1, right? You don't actually need a lot of gas for those Marauders, so yeah.
Maybe we can check another one actually. I've done it a couple of times.
It's just so funny because I'm looking at it and I'm like, they should know what's happening, but they never will. Like, there is something about this wall off, like I said, where people are like, wow, I'm walled off. Anything could be happening. I better build a Nexus. And that's exactly what you're aiming for. So I'm not going to change your opening for now. I think just keep it just after the 3rd racks. Like, if at this point we go for the second gas, that's fine. Still try to wall them out the way you're normally doing it. Should be fine. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool.
But Ghost Academy at home and then factory before the first ghost starts.
Yeah. And
only
now,
one ghost.
If there wasn't a probe here, would you normally try to get your proxy barracks up first? Or do you just always go for this depot to make sure your wall off is up nice and quick?
I have no always yet. I've done that maybe 5 to 10 times. So.
Cool. I mean, I'm happy for it to be intuitive and reactive like that. Yeah. That's your style, so keep it. That's fine. I was just curious if there was a rule you'd put in place. No worries. Okay, cool. So yeah, Ghost Academy at home, extra SCVs. We are going to make sure factory down before Ghost Academy finishes.
So,
yep.
The other thing is, if they stay up, if they just stay on one base for longer, and I'm not getting in there, how do I transition? Like, when I expand, then what?
Okay, so one more thing there is we want to use a floating barracks as well. Let's make sure we write these. Build Ghost Academy, factory down before Ghost. It's a good point. Let's just make sure I write down all these points first so we're organized and we're not forgetting any little details. Factory down before Ghost Academy finishes. Straight into nuke. Just 1 to 2 ghosts, no more than that.
You do the nuke without cloak, right?
Yeah, we don't need it. Yep. Because we've got a floating barracks and our Marauders can come forward to cover it, and we can always just do it from quite far back. Like, nuke range is pretty damn far. Straight into nuke, just 1 to 2 ghosts. Now, with the floating barracks, we can float barracks from home, right? You're not using that barracks anyway.
Yes, absolutely. I could just float that over.
So you can float that kind of as Marauders are almost ready to move in for the first attack, right?
I think at that moment, actually, if I had pushed up right now, could have maybe at least killed a shield battery or something.
Yeah, you could have probably won the game. Like, Adepts don't really kill your units, so if there's no Stalkers behind those, like...
the probe pull is always dangerous. But
as long as you don't go too deep up the ramp, if you get down the ramp, the probe pull is useless. It's only if they trap you on or above the ramp where the probes will get good surface area. If you get below the ramp, those probes are getting ruined. Yeah, like, you're just kiting them and you're killing them. And always bonus points if you focus fire. A lot of people start A-move starter stepping when they're getting surrounded. And they also start focusing on attacking too much. Like, you know how sometimes people are microing Hellions and they want to shoot all the time? So they're like, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot. And the Zerglings surround them. And it's like, no, you should just run 80% of the time. Wait until you're like around a corner or you're out of the most dangerous zone where the surround is possible. And then you can start shooting again. Likewise, if you're just A moving, you very well could get 14 probes into yellow hit points and kill none of them, right? Whereas if you just kill a probe, move, kill a probe, move, kill a probe, move. And likewise, of course, obviously target firing stalkers if they're there, because you will kill them very quickly as well, if you can. But sometimes people get too zealous about that, and they get their marauders surrounded trying to run into the probes to get at the stalker. So that's another thing to worry about. But from there, it's going to be a 3-bunker contain, nuke the high ground steadily. I mean, that's obviously a very slow thing. Now, do we want a second Ghost Academy so we can nuke twice
Of one base
at a time?
I mean, maybe I can try.
I mean, it might make sense. You've got a person on one base, you're nuking their infrastructure. Like, it is one of those things where your opponent's going to be tilting and they're going to start doing dumb shit because they're in such an awkward position. So our stuff doesn't necessarily have to be the most perfect theoretical. It just needs to be something that puts more pressure on an already stressed out, confused, and freaked out opponent, right? So that's an option. Other than that, let's imagine, okay, we've got bunker, bunker, bunker. We've got a floating barracks. We're nuking up here on this cyber core from back there. Obviously, command center on location, I think, is something we just always want to go for, right? So what else? Transition.
I always feel it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but it probably does, right?
It does. APM-wise especially. It's the human delay that's the one of the biggest problems. It's also the mules, you know, and stuff. Like, you know, sometimes then we lift it without turning it into an orbital. You miss half of a mule energy timing. So it's 120 minerals, you know, it's quite a lot. CC on low ground. I mean, obviously, when we think about what is the best transition in a cheesy, disgusting situation, big thank you, by the way, everyone, for the support. We just had a raid from Saber Lily. Thank you so much, Saber Lily. Hope you had a good stream. Thank you, Clant, for the resub as well. We are doing some very different coaching, guys, because it's omamorkie, who some of you may know as someone who plays StarCraft a little bit different.
I mean, you know what we could do? We could do a round through the random matchups, because I think we can get forward. But yeah, what do I transition to after this exactly? Let's say I have to transition, right? Either they take a bad trade but kill all the bunkers, and I'm kind of like, okay, I can hold when they attack, but what
is it always immortals? Do you think it's almost always immortals that are coming out here? I mean, obviously DTs can be a problem, but you've got ghosts that can EMP them. I wouldn't normally consider that a counter, but I know that you would probably have that in the forefront of your mind when most people wouldn't even know how that works. I'm like, I know Tim. Tim would be thinking about that before it even happens.
No, immortals are the worst typically because they just counter marauders so hard.
Okay, so should we go?
I mean, I've seen oracles flying in my base. That's also really shitty in that situation.
So I guess air is probably a good idea, right? Like either libs, banshees, or BCs, right?
Yeah, probably.
Marauder
I like
libs.
libs.
Like weird.
good
Definitely something
games
we
with
can do
libs.
there. Yeah, cool.
Okay, transition into air. Yeah, that seems like the logical next step after Proxy Marauders.
Transition to counter the robo. And obviously, it's like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, well, often. So if we think about their goals, enemies' goals are 1, slowest re-expand of all time into a normal game. Or 2, giant one base all in, right?
Yeah, that's what happens at the end of this game.
As we can expect, this is going to happen almost every game, right? That's 2 is much more likely.
Pretty much.
So basically, if we think about it, the comments...
Maybe go a bit forward towards the end, because it wasn't, I think if I recall correctly, this is actually, I did transition into lips, I think, at some point. And wasn't that super one-sided? I just miscontrolled the last fight in the end. Well, and now the bunker's burning, I have no SCVs here, and it's like,
we shouldn't be there, right? You know, if you ever identify a point where you're like, oh, I think if they come down, they'll kill me, we should always run home, right?
And I don't even get the immortal.
Yeah. Imagine if we sold those 2 bunkers, got all those units home, built 2 bunkers at home, and then just had a single tank or a single liberator.
Yeah.
We crushed that fight. Easiest fight of our life, right? And those Marauders are valuable units. So 2 is much more likely. The moment we realize our army is poop.
I don't know why I'm building a bunker there. I think I queued that up a long time ago. Yeah, no, but run away as soon as I realize that I can't hold it anymore, right?
Yeah, but also if we really want to have the checkmate, right? If you're very confident, you want to have something that checkmates their economy, right? So that could be like you're literally just waiting with a Liberator down on the edge of the map, and as they get to your natural, you queue that to siege on their main mineral line, right? Something like that. That's almost always just going to devastate their. Or you get 2 Banshees, go in together with Cloak, bam, 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 and just shift click all the probes down, right? Or a BC teleports in at the right moment. So it's got to be one of those.
Here comes push with the Oracle, so I do set up the lib, but then yeah, I should just stay there with the Liberator. But the Oracle comes in and I have literally nothing to defend. So
let's look at your production. This is some Bronze League Heroes moment, Morkie. Normally very impressive. Why do we have 2 factories, a starport, and a barracks?
The Widow Mine that's running away together with the SCVs. I even build it against the Oracle and just forget that I have one.
And now you're building a Hellion out of a factory. You're not using the tech lab!
And the Widow Mine just needed to burrow. Yeah, well.
No orbital on your natural as well. Tons of SCVs idling. So it's clear there's just no direction. And yes, that if that was an orbital and we actually had gases mining, oh my god, it would have made a big difference.
His push comes in so late and still kills me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the wall off, but yeah, I mean this would be super easy.
Thinking that might be a good idea. But he just warps the Stalkers and kills it, yeah. And then a Void Ray came out for some reason.
So are you gonna go libs, banshees, or BCs? What do you prefer? So I think we should just have one in mind ahead of time.
Good question. I do like my lips. I had like proper macro games with lips, but BCs are kind of. I mean, BCs are just styling, right?
What do we choose? Reacted Starport or Tech Lab Starport and Fusion Core?
I mean, Reacted Starport is faster, so I probably go with at least 2 lips to begin with.
You're too indecisive. We're going to leave it open to your on-the-fly intuition then. Because I know you're going to do that anyway. All right.
Definitely Starport transition. That's good.
Always try to have 1 lib or BC backstab as their counter hits you to checkmate their shitty economy. Okay. What else do we need here? Guess what? What's really important for that air transition? Gases on natural ASAP. We need both gases on that natural ASAP. If we built it down there, that would have already been a bit ahead of time. I love that whole, hey, let's float the 2 barracks home and use them as a wall off. So why don't we do that as normal, right? Float 2 racks home
earlier also,
and wall off. And do we build a single tank behind this? Are we worried, you know, like, or are you gonna just put the bunker or 2 behind it? Are we just gonna rely on the libs?
Single tank is probably a good idea, right?
Okay.
Kind of always want to have one as a turn.
Single tank behind wall plus bunker. Okay. And you're literally just building libs 2 at a time. Okay, that's not an actual army. So even though you've gone quick gases and stuff, like what are you going to start to spend your minerals on from there? Are you going to start just adding bio back in? You know, build some add-ons on the barracks?
Controlling bio? As soon as I have the slightest splash, I'm just losing. If I build bio against Protoss, it just...
Yep. So do you want to make like just Widow Mine Hellion or something to go with your Liberators? So it's like a weird kind of... Because we need to spend the minerals, essentially. Yeah. And there's never going to be any point building a 3rd and 4th command center in where this game ends up. Like, it's a non-existent point of the game, right? So, I mean, you can absolutely just add Hellions and Mines in.
Maybe Marauders. Am I not keeping Marauders below it? I mean, Marauders are kind of okay. They don't get splashed so hard.
Okay, well, I mean, the thing is, you could literally leave your barracks in position and just keep building Marauders and just, like, rallying them back. And that's totally fine. I play 15-minute games where my barracks never leave the proxy. Or they, like, lift off, they move back to a slightly further back proxy, so I pretend that, you know, they're not there anymore, and then I still build units.
I've done that before, yeah.
You can absolutely do that as well. So, I mean, it's either float 2 racks home and wall off, and then continue Marauder production. Or just keep Marauder production non-stop and rally home. Obviously, it's a bit awkward. Some of them will get caught at some point. The barracks might get killed at some point. But you've got more continual production. So you're basically going just Marauders libs. I mean, I guess adding Widow Mines would be probably what we want to do. Your Tech Lab
depends
factory.
what they build, right?
Yeah, I guess you can leave that open to what you want to focus on. I mean, it's going to be such a weird game.
And always have like a ghost or two around, right? For the EMPs, they're just so valuable at the beginning of the fight.
Yeah, we probably want to add stim as well. It's not the most important thing, but we can also add stim off that proxy if we do that.
And please realize that at this point I had a ghost with cloak ready and a nuke for the natural. I just didn't get to use it. It's in the top right.
Sad life. Well, I think his whole army, he must have spotted it, right? Because his whole army moved up to the right before, and
they chased it, but he didn't. I think he got one of two out of two and didn't catch it.
Yeah, because he was like coming over, and then he spotted it somewhere there. What the hell? Oops.
They chased it initially, right? And then the ghost just kept running.
Yeah, the adept shot it once.
Yeah.
So he knew it was up there, and then that ghost is just chilling, and then. I'm just like,
I was very confused.
What is he doing with his army here is what I was really confused with. He's like, oh, there's a lib zone. And then he cues his army to like run to the top right.
Probably hunting the ghost.
Is it like it's either that or...
I just needed to borrow that nickel mine. Just borrow your widow mine. Oh, this is frustrating. Let's look at another replay.
I'm not sure if this guy's like a really bad map hacker or his army just moved here because of some random shit. I can never tell. Anyways, cool. GG's. But that's cool. I mean, rather than as cool as EMPing batteries and stuff is, that's still an option with this build. But now we're doing something that's much more reliable, which is nuking the fudge out of a Protos's base, which is much more awesome.
Yeah,
so
you know, if they have like 3 stalkers, 2 batteries, and then the EMP lands, the game's over right there.
Hells yeah.
Because then they get like 2 shots off and before everything's dead.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing, right, with the proxy ghost in the corner of the main, and like someone has a shield battery, you just EMP it, and you're like, get wrecked. You hit the shield battery in the mineral line and the probes, and you're one-shotting the probes, and there's no healing, and you're like, whoa.
So I have 2 more TVPs with that build.
I mean,
let's watch one more.
Yeah, sure. We can watch one more, or we can go into a different matchup. Totally up to you. Whatever you want.
My ZVZ standard is also that's also one. I just want to hear an opinion.
You just want me to make fun of you, don't you?
I'm not sure if it might even be somewhat legit. But
promote to lobby host. This is PVZ.
This is ZVZ actually.
No, PVZ. You see next to the map?
Then I was in the wrong.
No worries. You've just joined literally everyone who's ever submitted a replay to the newbie stream.
Hey, that's
hey, Pig.
easy.
Here's a really detailed essay about how to stop the 2 Immortal Warp Prism Sentry push that hits at 6 minutes 45 in ZVP, and how do I stop it? And I'm like, wow, this is such a good question. This is amazing. I'm so happy. I've finally got somebody who's really making the most of this opportunity to get some free coaching. Open up the replay. It's a Terran versus Terran. I'm like, what is this? And they're like, oh, sorry, it must have been the wrong replay. I'm like, how does this happen so much?
I do want to go back to playing random, and I think I have builds for almost all matchups now. And ZVZ was also one where I was struggling to get interesting games, so I'm doing 12 pool and early expand, but the early expand is a proxy because obviously.
I mean, I've been having a lot of success with Sex Panther again recently. So I'm enjoying the trolliness.
This is proxy roaches, and I get a baneling nest at home. So at home there's a spine and defense and pretending that I'm really scared.
I love this nice semi-walls, man. Baneling nest walling off one side, queen's there. So you literally have only 1, 2, 3 gaps into the mineral line. And then bonus points, if you do end up in a really hard spot, you can actually hold position a drone or a zergling in each of those little gaps in the mineral lines, and your opponent will derp out on them while the spine and queen shoot down the banes. It's actually sick. Good little defense, man.
And then, yeah, I start mousing roaches next to the base, basically.
Okay, so
At this point,
yeah.
they typically overdrone at this point, right? Because I'm just doing 20 roaches, 20 workers roach all in from here, together with a few banelings, normally 2 or 3 banelings with this push.
Okay, I think it's really important for us to be hitting injects on this base. And I think we
Yes.
need that second gas in our main, or if you're walled off, second gas at this base. We actually want to build a little handful of drones there, because you can see that without link speed, this really doesn't pack as much of a punch. And it's like, it's nice because it's surprising, but it just like, look at our minerals and stuff, right? So it's just not lining up quite right. So I always love the idea of just doing this kind of weird attack.
Oh yeah, and I'm building spines there as well. Right? That's also part of the game.
Nice. I mean, this is kind of like Sex Panther. I really like it. Normally with Sex Panther, we build the spines and run them, but they take a long time to get down there. And in this sort of opening, they're not going to have the third base. The advantage of Sex Panther is it's a more standard opening, so we can use the creep on their third to kind of run towards the natural a lot quicker. Because you don't have that, it's better for you to build them in here, actually. So I like that. Two safety banelings in the main.
He actually had three spines in the main, so he's actually holding it. While I'm holding the counter push, and this turns into a long macro game, and we end up in a Muta versus Muta game, and I think he barely wins at the end after 20 minutes. But that's the opening, at least.
That is hilarious. All right, so let's figure out how we want this to work with the proxy hatch timing, because that's all we can do with this sort of build order, since it's obviously trickery and surprise and silliness. It's all about that. So one of the interesting things here is you get this really fast proxy hatch up, and we do start droning from it, but we need to be really consistent at trying to hit injects and stuff down there. Yep. So what's interesting as well is we go a fast baneliness to defend this counter attack, right? Which I guess, it's kind of cool to have a spine, a queen, and kind of like make some defensive banes here. I'm kind of just looking at it and going, okay, well,
first things really terrible.
yeah. First things first, never build a spine there. Put it smack bang in the center of the mineral line if you're going to. Yeah, because that was really nasty. You're also missing.
And now it's not even burrowed in the right moment. Ah.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully you defend just fine here. It's totally okay. You can always hold position your drones if they get in trouble. Yeah. But you need it to be just hitting injects, droning, and then going straight for a second gas on this third base, right?
Yes.
I think if we do that...
So the baneling last one square further to the left, and I can take the gas in the main, right?
Yeah. I would actually make a rule, let's say second gas on the expansion. So basically go second gas, then Roach Warren. They can basically be at the same time, but the important thing is to saturate that second gas, and then we can get like a good little pack of roaches, ravages coming out from there. And I mean, I
build ravages in that situation?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, I mean, they're more mobile. They run around a lot faster, and they have a lot more range. So it really depends on what the situation is.
Maybe for the spines, yeah.
Yeah, they're really good versus spines as well. I mean, they're just a more maneuverable unit. They'll get in there a lot quicker. Obviously, like the big problem with this build order is the fact that you don't have an expansion. So your opponent's kind of already expecting a counterattack if they pay attention to that, which our opponent is doing pretty poor Overlord vision and isn't paying attention to. But I mean, for me, I look at this and I'm like, if we could squeeze Zergling speed in with this, that would be so good. Because then as the roaches start moving in from our proxy hatch, we can rally speedlings across from our main that have been banking up on the main bases.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can be like roaches and just 1 or 2 banelings with the roaches already, in case your opponent's got mass laying, and then mass Zergling floods across.
That creep tumor is totally pointless. That had to be an inject, very clearly.
Yeah. Like, I might bring that queen to attack as well, where like it's like, okay, do an inject and then just go attack. If you've missed an inject, maybe put a tumor down, but I'd probably just queue extra injects on the hatch as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think these are some good rules to make this a little bit more deadly. Let's write a new little thing. ZVZ 12 pool into proxy hatch surprise roachbane. So what we're going to do is same build, second gas plus Roachwarren same time on proxy. And then basically we're going to still try to squeeze in Ling speed.
Yep.
So we're going to bank Lings in main base, build roaches and just 2 banes from proxy, flood across at same time, and join up on enemy natural. And that's just going to be so much better. Anytime you're doing a roach attack like this, that's the way to do it. Now, building the spines here, awesome troll factor. Love it. really not effective. This is literally just to tickle your own brain with silliness. Go into the
You mean
main
this?
base. If you went into the main base here, like that really needed to be the goal.
Yeah.
If you just had 1 or 2 banelings still alive, you could go in there and just win the game right now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's always got to be the goal, is obviously just get straight in there. So you can still
Even
build,
without, at least I would get the queens, right? Just going
yeah,
up with the roaches right now. Yeah.
build 1 to 2 spines in the natural, or walk,
And then move out with the roaches.
but
That's
always go
nice.
straight to the main. Yeah, straight to
Mm-hmm.
the main. And with the Ling flood, with it, like, it just is so much more powerful. Anytime you have Lings flooding with a little core of roaches in front, it's so good.
Uh-huh.
It's a good build order. Cute little
Good.
aggressive one. And because I like the way you split your opponent's multitasking at the start, where you split Lings into the main and the natural and just kind of overwhelmed your opponent a little bit. At the highest level, it's technically not the best option, but I even occasionally will do that on a smaller map just because I'm like, let's see if I can make my opponent panic and freak out, because there's like, I gotta micro 2 things at once, and then they just start making mistakes. It's pretty fun. Awesome. Cool. I think that's all we get from this one.
Then, oh yeah, I want to take a look at CVP as well, because CVP is the other way around. So I'm very happy with my with the battles kitos. That works out really nicely by now.
Since we're changing off just Terran coaching, I've just changed the stream title to Coaching Random Psychopath Cheeser. So I hope you're proud of that title.
Very good. I hope I did it in this one.
Since you are heading back towards random now, so
yeah. No,
I think this is
I'm
good.
random at heart, very much. So this is basically my 2-1-1, but as a Zerg. It's kind of the play a different race game. So it's 4 drop a lord as fast as I can, each with 2 banelings and the rest is speedlings.
Oh, okay, cool. This is off 2 base, 3 hatch. Whoa.
It's 3 hatch 2 base, yeah, exactly.
But no, like, we're probably having no drones on our third when it hits, I imagine.
The third is a macro hatch actually.
Okay, cool. All right.
I think this is the one where he was really proud of blocking my natural.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, he builds a pylon. I can just get my macro hatch because I knew already what I was going for.
Why don't you build the macro hatch next to the pylon, so you still leave space for your hatchery to go down when the pylon's done?
Yeah.
But then it's like it's just a long distance mining hatch.
Mm-hmm.
So because there was a
matter
a few years ago where everyone would bring 1 or even 2 probes and they would cybercore block your natural and your third, and like Zergs were like, I'm floating 800 minerals, this is so unfair. And I was like, are you kidding me? This guy just built 2 Nexus, like, to block your hatchery. Just build it next to it and you're way ahead. Like, it was one of these things where Zerg, it was so funny to watch Zerg players just be like, how do I deal with this? This is so unfair. I mean, what are you talking about? This guy just spent way more money than you lose.
He even gives me a spray tag there, look at that.
Hold on a sec.
Yeah, it works out really well this game, but it's very much a micro thing. So,
Sorry.
So I get the second gas really early here. That's at 2:39 in this case.
And actually, in this case, why not just go for the third as well, right? Because I would say go for the block if he's investing in like 2 or 3 pylons. But if it's just 1, we should probably just go for the third base, right?
I'm a bit hesitant going for the third I'm actually not sure if it's that efficient in the end, because I always get another hatchery before my natural is even saturated. So I mean, you can have the third base, but then it's just standing there super exposed without any drones for a long time.
Okay. I mean, if you're comfortable with it, just build the macro hatch closer to the minerals like we said, and that should be cool then.
Yeah,
okay, no worries.
Probably the main.
I think also your opponents will see it, and their brains will hurt, and they'll make more mistakes. Should be good.
So, and then 2 queens, speed for the links, and then relatively soon I'll get overlord speed somewhere. That's also one of the reasons for the macro hatch early on, that you can get OB speed. I'd love to get Burrow Visit, but so far I never managed to get that set. Just costs so much time.
Hatcheries can't be lifted, bit. Oh, this guy's so proud. This is
And then Bending
hilarious.
Nest goes down while the thing morphs. Overlords are already in position.
He has
These
no
two of
idea
them.
who he's playing against. So could we have moved those overlords over from the very start of the game a little bit far? I guess these are pretty much the first overlords, aren't they?
Yeah.
I guess just make a habit of rallying them.
A bit late.
Yeah, maybe just make a habit of rallying them across the map rather than you are often grabbing them from where they'd come out, right?
I usually do, I think. Yeah.
Do you order the banelings in terms of like what you load in first and stuff? Do you try to make sure you think about that?
First, yeah. Banelings always go in first, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it's two per overlord also. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not this time.
This is hitting pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And your opponent's doing this silly corner base.
Yeah.
One cannon.
He has like
no
a cannon
units.
in the wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in this case,
800 gas. Oh my god.
Yeah. But it's normally they have like 4 stalkers and maybe a sentry or something.
Yeah.
And then I normally try to hit one first and the other just very shortly after.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Not. Yeah, it's about, what is this? About a 6-second gap between them. 7 seconds maybe. Not bad.
Yeah, something like that. So that they're really and definitely not looking at the other base.
Yeah. And I mean, it gives time where if you see all the probes quickly mineral walk to the main, then you actually micro that baneling drop in the main.
Yes.
You go, ooh, don't unload. Hold it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're like, wait for these other 12 probes to get up here. Now unload on them, you know, or you save just one baneling for that at least, right?
But can we look at the number of probes and build order stuff in the like leading up to that moment? Because here it's kind of like, yeah, okay, that definitely worked, but
obviously, yeah. I mean, also, what's your follow-up?
My follow-up is just Lingdane Nutra normally. I mean drone first, because I'm only at like 20-something drones.
Alright. So we're going a hatch gas pool.
Mm-hmm.
We're building 4 lings.
Standard.
We forgot the overlord for a little bit there. Not the end of the world. Third hatch goes down. We're going insanely fast OV speed.
And I'm on 23 drones, the whole thing.
And we built,
I don't know, maybe I can squeeze in a few more at some point. But...
I mean, the third hatch actually doesn't serve much function. We would, except pretending we're doing a normal build, which you've already showed you're not with this hatchery. So part of me is like, why do we even bother with this third hatch, right?
Oh, you mean if I had if it was the actual expansion?
Yeah, or even on the third base. Like, do we really need that?
I probably I need it because my injects aren't perfect.
Your injects.
So I just sometimes had the experience that I didn't have enough lava to make all the things I needed for it.
Yeah. I think you can probably just get a bit better at that, right, with experience. Because look how much lava you have this game. Like, you 2 minutes before your attack hits, you have enough lava to make every Zergling you need for this attack.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells me, like, wait a second, you probably could do this. Your second gas is so fast here as well. Can we maybe delay that a bit, right? Because we want to, like, have things at the last possible second. So
let's count the gas when I do all the morphing, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's gas left over, yes.
Yeah, there's a little bit of gas left over. It's also... Can we delay Overlord speed, potentially? And go quicker lair, maybe? Because OV speed's a pretty quick upgrade. Obviously, it's like, well, our Overlord kind of needs to get in position, but it could already be on the way. Actually, no.
Overlord number 4 is a slow one, right?
Yeah, it's not even building yet. Okay, that makes sense. So we're going to go OV speed, lair, Bane Nest. In terms of droning, I think we definitely could build a handful more drones, right? So let's try to aim... By the way, why is our main not saturated? Oh, because you just put them on gas and built the buildings. Okay, I thought you were trying
to... and then... yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Because you lose so much minerals from this. Like, these drones should just be mining in the main, right?
The long-distance miners there, yeah. Or, I mean, if the natural... No, actually, yeah. No, the logic is, if the natural was up, then I prefer not having the main saturated and have more
that
drones at the natural
make
for
it
scouting things.
yeah, make it look like you're being more
Yeah.
economic. I mean, it's the same thing where also, yeah, yeah. So that's cool, and same thing with like obviously putting down a third hatch is kind of a good sign as that as well. Okay, so hatch just next to normal hatch location. So decent long distance mining. So decent mining. But prioritize workers in main base as gas, etc. is taken, just for efficiency, because
I
they
mean, normally
shouldn't
I
be able
have
to
the
scout.
hatch on location, right?
Yeah.
That's the usual way the build goes.
So Zergling pattern. You want to deny scouting at this point, right? So your Zerglings, we should probably
There's
be
too
going.
many of them, right?
Do.
Also.
Definitely way too many, but we should be sending a Zergling there and a Zergling there, right? You see where I'm signaling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As well as one to the tower and then, some outside the base. Just to kind of make sure there's no probes running around, right? Then obviously those are all attack.
Shit.
Those are all attack moves queued up. And it's mostly just to make sure that probe doesn't come in and see speed overlords and lings rallying across the map, 30 seconds ahead or 40 seconds ahead of the attack hitting. So that's going to be one thing, is just 4 lings max, preferably only 2, right? Let's say 4. Let's say 4 lings, just 4 lings every
it's also,
game.
if there's an adept coming, right? It's always good to have 4.
Yeah. Split 2 to look for proxies / check for probe. That's going to be big. Let's see if we can... Let's aim for 28 drones. So what is that? If we've got 22 in the main, that's 6 on natural. Plus fully mining main. Or, say 10 on main, and that means you've got another 6, 12 on natural, right? If you're trying to fake them out and you move it down or something like that, okay? Otherwise, I think the order is kind of okay. If we look at this, what's the second gas timing that we have right now? We can delay it probably ever so slightly, but we'll see. Because we want to make sure that layer and that OV speed are not late, right?
Yeah, it's basically when I can start link speed same time.
Okay. So, second gas at link speed starting. And what we're going to do is so it's basically gas spending, OV speed, lair, Bane Nest, pull a worker off each gas.
Yeah, excellent. Because there's always an econ transition after it. Yes, pulling workers off gas.
Yep.
That's a very good thing.
So transition is probably just going to be massling Bane, I imagine, and trying to drop Banelings on their army, right?
Yeah, basically, and maybe Mutas at some point, or it depends what they're going for.
So obviously just Evo Chamber. Saturate 3rd plus 4th mineral line. No more gases required, right? Because all you're spending money on, all we're spending gas on, is Banes, Dropper Lords, and melee upgrades. That's it.
Yeah.
And we're still being just non-stop Bane drops, run bys, all that shit, right? So, and that's it. We can make crazy comebacks with that style because it's so mineral focused, right? Often when you're doing a tech build and you're going Hydroden and Evo Chambers and Infestation Pit and Hive and Spire, all this shit costs so much money. If we're not taking even the gases on our natural, obviously it would just be like literally, okay, let's put gas, put 2 workers back in gases, on gases in main. That's it. So you build 30 drones, suddenly you're on 4 base mineral saturation off just 30 more workers, right? And it's like, oh shit, that's a crazy number of Ling Bane. Take 7 bases is another one. So basically you just want more macro hatches. So just having more hatcheries means if they die, we don't care. But it also is just more production. And it gives us the chance, if we want to drone another to some crazy work account for whatever reason, we can do it. And then potential muta swap. Okay. But we'd need to add 4 more gases or 3 more, probably 3 more gases with Spire for this. So that's a very expensive transition.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think my ZBT is not cheesy, so I'm just playing standard macro, basically. The only add-on that I do is very aggressive creep spread with creep pooping overloads into Marching Queen.
Nice.
And apart from that, it's just normal macro.
That's a good way to do it. So there's nothing left in this EVP replay, right?
No, there's this one is. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's all the Zerg builds. Let's see. We had the TVP. TVZ is also a standard macro for me.
Simir in chat says Baneling speed, question mark? Absolutely. I'm sure we'd go Baneling speed. With the transition, melee upgrades, Bane speed's a given.
Yeah.
I'm not even writing it down because it's like so obvious,
of course.
right? You know, we want to try to keep our notes really streamlined, especially for these sort of super weird plays where we don't want to write down every tiny detail.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
So
we've got the TVT Marine style that you've just started learning. We've got TVZ.
Yeah, I just got like 3 TVTs in a row.
Hells yeah, man! It's nice. I love playing Mass Marine TVT. Like people are like, hey, tanks are too good. Just have to go tanks and Vikings and sit there. And I'm like, have you tried making lots of Marines? And people do it once, run into a tank line and lose, and they go, see, Marines are bad. And I'm like, well, yeah, StarCraft's not a fun game if you're not willing to find a way around problems. Like this is like 101 of how to get annoyed at StarCraft. He's like, I have to play this way and it sucks. And it's like, you know you don't, right? There's like 1,000 ways to play any game.
And PvT, I keep winning no matter what I do somehow. I think it just kind of works. I mean, sometimes there's a push that kills me, but
are you expanding or are you proxying or?
It works either way at the moment, but normally proxy. I normally do proxy 2-gate and then 2 shield batteries and stalker pressure. Let's watch one. That's probably good.
Thank you, Fettuccini, for hanging out in chat, by the way. It says normally watches on YouTube on 1.5 times speed. I've never gotten in the habit of that. I know so many of my friends are always listening to things on fast forward speed. Do you fast forward things you listen to and watch to, Oma?
Usually not.
I find it disconcerting. There are certain things where I'm like, okay, this guy's just speaking too slowly. But
I usually skip forward if it's like a replay when I see, okay, now they're both marking, okay, skip 2 minutes or something. Yeah.
I know a lot of people listen to like podcasts that way. They're like, oh yeah, I want to consume more and stuff. For me, I really like the pauses because for me, I would rather listen to something that really resonates and then just let it stew in my brain for however many hours even. Like if there's a really good point, I almost want to like turn the thing off and then just like have nothing and let my brain actually sit there and absorb it. So this is PvT. So what are we doing here?
Yeah, I think I'm proxying probably. No, I'm not. This is one of the games. Oh no, this game I did. No, I just play standard here. And...
Standard.
No, I did proxy.
Standard.
Yes. No, I actually, but he's counted it, and it was a VFG's version of my standard. But normally this is just killing a natural, but he's counted it, so he never got one.
Oh, the Marauder's shooting the Zealot. Yeah, get out of there, Stalkers.
But at least, he's losing a lot of mining time there.
So I can tell you're too small brain in this matchup. No offense, Morky. That Twilight Council should have been down a minute ago. The moment you saw no natural, it should have been like a trigger saying, let's go DTs. Like, immediately. Okay. That should have been in your cheesy heart of hearts.
I ended up not even doing DTs here.
Well, that's why you're playing the game wrong.
Too late.
You can always go charging DTs at the same time, man. Same time.
I think I'm going High Templar, actually, and Storm and stuff. Yeah.
Quick DT charge follow-up is pretty sick. Like right now, the fact that you're just chilling there like this is oof. Because if he were to, are we going right before charge? Just because he shot us with the tank as well.
Yeah, that was bad.
But
I still get a lot of lift off.
Yeah. he could have killed us.
He's just too scared. Yeah.
A single drop. Imagine if 8 Marines with Stim rocked up at your base at any point, right? Like you're just dead.
I always get my warp gate too late with this build. It's just.
Oh my god! Wow. It's gonna be an 8-minute warp gate finishing, yeah.
Yeah. No, and I'm not supposed to survive here. He walked back, right, instead of attacking. It was just, okay, what are you doing?
Looks like you had one Zealot there that pulled his whole army home. Hey, come over here.
No, then Oh yeah, and I took the third before the natural, so he thought he was safe because he's canned the natural and didn't realize that I had a expansion up and running.
And then the SCV comes and is like, oh, there's a Templar Archives in the third base. Okay.
Yeah, and then I just land some storms and the game is over. So this matchup it's easy. I can do whatever I want, and it's kind of I get into a flow here.
This guy's name is Cornholio, which is of course a Beavis and Butthead reference. I'm Cornholio. And yeah, he's basically done what most Terran players do, where they go Raven, Ghost, Bio, Tank, and I'm like, could you give yourself they're like, I've never juggled before. I can't beat Protoss. I'm gonna start with 17 balls. I'm like, wouldn't you start with 2? And they're like, no, 17. I'm a Terran player. I'm like, okay. We're gonna.
Oh, yeah, the Raven as well. There's nothing interesting happening here after that, and just making zealots and archons and killing them.
I mean, the moment you see a Terran commit to this composition, you know he's just going to eat storms the entire game. His army is going to be used in the most horrendous way possible. It pains me. Please, Terran players, stop trying to make these overcomplicated compositions. If you guys want to play fancy tech units, this is obviously for the people in chat, play mech. Play slow units, A-move your Thors, and use some ghosts or some fancy units with those A-move units. But don't try to use Bio, Tank, Ghost, Raven. This is the silliest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I say that knowing that if this was Maru, he would fuck up with this army comp, you know? Maru would fuck up with this army comp. I don't know if anyone out there thinks they're as good as Maru, but you're not. You're nowhere near as good. Stop making these overcomplicated armies. This is so stupid. Yeah. Every Terran player thinks they need to counter the Protoss units. You don't. You just need to have more stuff and use that stuff in a vaguely okay manner. Most Protoss players suck.
And Bio is so powerful when they get the proper engages, right? It's
like just go Bio Ghost or just go Bio Tank or something like that. Ugh. We didn't really get to see any actual build order that game. I do like these sort of kind of gateway pushes. What I would point out is that you could have probably taken the third from the start. So if your opponent blocks your natural, since you seem comfortable with that, I would say next time someone blocks your natural, go straight for the third and then still do the gateway push. But you can do it just rallying from home with 2 gates. You don't need to proxy gates on the map. So I think if you literally just chronoed units off these 2 gateways and went for the shield battery sort of thing, you would usually achieve the same thing as you would with proxying the gateways. So that's something, because Roddy does this sometimes, where he's just
I could just cancel the gateways here. That would be even funnier, right? He scouts them.
After he scouts them, yeah, exactly. That would have been the big brain move. Cancel those and build 2 Nexus and a Forge. Yeah.
Well, okay. No, but that's what did we PvP or PvP is also weird.
But yeah, I do think that's a good rule. If the natural's blocked, just rally off 2 gate plus batteries to deny natural. Now, in this case, you never should have gone for the batteries because you didn't even have the natural, but obviously, I don't think you realized that, you know. And then, at this point, you should have cancelled those shield batteries and just gone, whoa, okay, that's got to go into other things. He's on 1 base. So, yeah. Just 2 gate battery to deny natural, but already have the expansion. Already go for Nexus. No, you know, we can do both, basically, I would say. We can do both a Nexus and this denial. Then we can chrono probes and go into charge, DT, or storm, whichever you prefer. So much quicker, right? It just gives you more flexibility. Cool. Shall we hop into another game? Oh, I think we're almost out of time, actually. Where are we?
We're out of time?
Yeah, we can talk theory, I guess, very quickly. Is there one other matchup that you're struggling with, or?
I mean, PvP is just a cheese fest. It's fine.
It's your comfort zone.
I always try to expand it. It never works, and that's the only thing I have to really delete the habit of thinking, maybe I could be cheesy and do a Nexus first. That just never ever works. But yeah, if I do cheese, I'm also okay. TBT, I was struggling till today, till you told me Mars Marine, and now I'm kind of getting in the flow there. Had a couple of good games.
Yeah, I think with that one, it's just going to be about your map control and flanking armies, like, you know, just not running into siege tanks and being willing to, if it gets to the later stages, just patiently, using lots of scans, and then at some point you should be able to either doom drop or just stim into their natural and get on their production when their army's over at a 4th base or something. And, basically Mass Marine just kills everything so quickly. If you get on top of the production, you will kill their entire base and everything in so little time. So as long as you keep big mineral income up, you don't take all the gases, right? It's very mineral focused. Get your double upgrades. It's like gases just for the double upgrades and the medevacs. And other than that, it's just Marines, Marines, Marines. And you could even do a simpler version with no medevacs where it's pure Marine. And you literally only need 1 or 2 gas geysers the entire game. Because it's just stim, shields, reactors, and upgrades. Yeah.
No, I think I like my medivacs with it.
Me too.
Just a few.
Yeah. If you're struggling with the army control and like the flanks and stuff, it's good to skip the medevacs because you're forced to just get your army in 2 big flanking squads and sandwich them whenever they move out, or wait for them to move out and then base trade them and stuff like that. Really.
It's basically like playing Ling Bane then, right?
Exactly what I was gonna say. You're playing, Mass Charge Lot or Ling Bane. You're being a backstabby douchebag basically, which is awesome. It's very un-Terran, so a lot of players struggle with it. For you as a random player, it's a lot easier to kind of grasp that concept.
Yeah, I think that's my way to go for TVT. Yeah.
Cool.
No, I think I'm back to random now. I solved my biggest issues, like the PvZ that I never won. And with this Battle Skyters, it does work about half of the time, so that's good. I'm in my flow there.
Yeah, so we've got the Battle Skyters,
PvZ.
TVT.
TVT was the other difficult one, but that works now as well. I just had like 6 or something. I just realized there's tons of TVT replays here. And yeah, when I try to do normal stuff, I lose, definitely, because Terrans who actually play Terran, they can control tanks and Vikings, and I can't.
Yeah, so you need more reps for that. It's one of those things where you'd be like, oh, I really feel like playing Terran for a month or 2 and, getting some experience with this. That's not you. No. You go disappear for weeks or months at a time, filming and doing all sorts of stuff. So It's like for you, it's like, hey, have a clear direction, right? You always want to know in the forefront of your brain what the play is that you're making, and it's hard to do that even if you're good at controlling your tanks and Vikings. Simply by going to the longer stage, it is inherently you've got to shift gears and be more reactive. And I got to do this now. I got to do this now. I got to do this now. You're changing it as you go, and it's harder to keep a clear, firm focus of let's fuck this guy up with 80 Marines after my Proxy Reaper or whatever it is, Yes. So as long as we keep those, those tight goals, that'll be pretty sick, man.
And yeah, TVZ is my standard is just Marauder Hellbat. Yeah.
Marauder Hellbat's really good, man. Yeah, I was thinking I might, even on the ladder on my main account, do a little bit more of, I was doing a just pure bio Hellbat style, where it's like double factory Blue Flame Hellbats rather than tanks, and 2 tech labs out of my first 5 barracks, so my Marauder count starts growing really early, whereas normally you see Terrans not build Marauders till much later in the game. And there's like just these funny engagements where the Zerg's like, holy fuck, there's a lot of hit points in that army, and as long as you spread your Hellbats and your stuff out, as long as your Marines get behind the Marauders and the Hellbats and don't get flanked too well by the Banelings, like, it's just insane how good the fights are. Of course, if the Zergs manage it correctly, it's not the perfect composition by any means, but it's kind of cool to see that the Zergs really need to do a very masterful engagement to show the weakness of that sort of style.
And I started to, when I have to pick up and leave, I started to drop single Marauders into Banelings, because you get like 5, 6, 7 explosions for one.
How good does that feel, man? Oh my god. I was actually thinking about this style as well. Not only is that amazing, but in the frontal fights, you get bonus points if you literally don't even stim the Marauders. You're like, don't even bother. Just control click the Marines and stim them, and like, let your Marauders have another 20 hit points to tank another Baneling and a few more Zergling hits. Actually sick, man. That's cool.
I had probably too few Marines with it so far that you were talking. Yeah.
And if your opponent goes Hydras, it can be tough. You might need to swap to like tanks or something. It kind of depends. Or simply,
like page, right?
If they can close with them, it's if they got like the Banelings, because Banelings, the thing is, Banelings punish Hellbats that are clumped, and Hydras, obviously force you to clump up to go into them. You can't trickle into them, right? So that's very advanced, but it's just if you get someone who's really good at like concave management and using those two armies kind of in unison, it gets really awkward. That was one of the problems I encountered. But even then, I realized that I probably could, as long as I didn't headbutt on creep, and as long as I just kept dropping and kind of pushing multiple areas and stuff, I could wear them down. But I decided the technically correct way to play was definitely to just swap into tanks off your early Hellbats. And you could actually, at some point, remove the Hellbats from your army and just turn them into Hellions and start doing run-bys with them, and they'd still be pretty useful. But yeah, like against Mutiling Bane, they're like, oh, you don't have much that shoots up. And it's like, there were games where they'd actually overwhelm my Marines because enough would get hit by Banes, and my Marauders and Hellbats would kill like every base and drones before the Mutas cleaned them up. And I was like, it's fine. Mutas don't do a lot of damage. So yeah, there's some cool things there. But anyways, man, I better let you go. I know your wifey is tired and waiting for you. I appreciate you pushing the coaching
basically back. Already sleeping.
Yeah. Well, good luck on the ladder, man. I hope to see you in chat, and hit us up with your stories of your build orders and the crazy situations that arise.
I think you helped me ease back into random. So
have you sent a replay in, by the way, for this week's IC4?
No, I didn't get any surrounds that were worth it.
Okay. All right, cool. If you do get any flanks or surrounds, special, maybe Mass Marine, TVT, sandwich that Tank Raven move out, man.
No, I might go through those replays. I might even have some in these last Tank Marine games. Yeah.
Please do.
Anyway, awesome, I will shut up now. So.
No worries, man. Thanks for the coaching. I'll catch you later, brother. Have a good night.
Yeah, bye.
Good night, man. Morkie's awesome, very crazy player there, as you guys know. And always fun to coach him. So for those who don't know, Morkie used to be like a competitive player in like Brood War and old RTS games in like late 90s, early 2000s, and basically is just a player with his own unique brand of how to play StarCraft.